All right, welcome to lecture 2 of learning how to code in R. If you haven't watched the first lecture, go ahead and do so now. And if you have watched the first lecture, your screen should look pretty similar to what I have right here. But we'll do a quick recap. So the first thing you're going to want to do, which we already did, is set your working directory. And this is basically going to give you a folder, mine is called stats, and it's going to give you a folder, and it's just going to make everything else down the line so much easier. Like anytime you want to export something, instead of having to do 10 backslashes leading to your eventual folder, you just type out stats and it knows exactly where it's got to go. And that's exactly where you're going to have your CSV file that if you don't have already, you should definitely get, because you're going to need it going forward. And that's going to be attached down below. So player stats.csv, download that, put that in whatever folder you have. For me, the folder I'm going to be using is called stats. If I open my stats folder, you'd see it's in there. And then the next thing we did was we installed some packages, because R is great and it has packages that offer so much to it, and we want to do sports analytics, and some of the best packages for that are on R, and one of them is called Tidyverse, which we're going to be using a lot, and Dipler, which I haven't used as much, but we might end up using down the line, so you may as well have it installed. And then if you don't know if you have it installed yet, there's no harm in doing it. I know I have it installed, but just going to run it again. I'll library it. And then, yeah. So let's get into the actual coding. So last time what we did, we got this CSV file, and we used a function called readCSV that basically took all this CSV's comma separated value, took all those random mush of commas that you can never really read or understand, put them into R in this thing called player_stats. And if I go read it or view it, I get this beautiful laid out spreadsheet that offers me a lot. And you might notice one thing that I accidentally did on my own, but I'm going to show you what to do now. You see right in between here, you should have a column called field goal percentage. The first thing I want you to do actually is I want you to get rid of that. And hold up. I believe if I do this, then I view it again. Okay, there it is. It's back. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to get rid of columns that you might have excess of. And we don't necessarily have that. But the second thing I want to show you is one of the most important functions in R that it's super basic, but like, let's say you want to create your own statistic. You want to get your own stat going. Your own stat doesn't exist anywhere else because it's your own stat. And let's say you're going to be combining field goals with field goal attempts and a bunch of other random stuff. You're going to need to use this function called mutate. And mutate's going to combine a bunch of things into one. So the first thing is going to be our select function. It's just called select. And then on each side of a function, to the left of it, we want to have the output that we want it to represent. So I want it to go into player stats, and I could call it its own thing that's going to be separate, but we're going to end up putting those right back in after, so you'll see it's no issue to call it the same as it is before. Now, select, and now we're going to put in our previous spreadsheet that we already have right up here, which is the same name. Then we're going to do a comma. And then what this select is going to do, it's basically going to highlight a bunch of columns, and we're going to tell it what to do. In this case, we want to get rid of those columns. So we're going to do a dash, and then we're just going to get rid of 3. We're going to get rid of field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and 2-point percentage. So for field goal percentage, we're going to do minus, and then we're going to do in the top left of, if you're on a Mac, I'm not sure where it might be on Windows, in the top left, right under the escape bar, you're just going to press that button. It's going to give you this. This is just whenever you have a percentage or like a number, sometimes it gets a bit tricky with it getting mixed up. So that's just to get rid of any confusion for the coding software. Then field goal percentage is our first. Second is 3-point percentage. So let's do that. And then, oh, see, I forgot to put it inside. And you can see I tried to highlight the whole thing, but didn't recognize that percentage was a part of it. So let me do that again. And then our final one, 2-point percentage minus TP percentage. All right. And now if I were to run this code, and then view player stats, you could see those columns are now gone. And let's say this is the original spreadsheet we were given. We want to find those columns, right? Because, just knowing how many field goals somebody attempted or somebody made per game isn't really giving us the full story. Yeah, you could have someone who attempted 40 field goals a game and made 10 more than everyone else, but they still might have a worse percentage. They might not be as efficient. So we want to be able to determine that. So this next function is the main one that we're going to be discussing and using going forward. So player stats, once again, arrow, dash, and then it's going to be mutate. What mutate does is it allows you to create an entirely new column. So we want to call ours, let's say, we'll call it FGP for field goal percentage, FGP. And now we need to tell it what FGP is. Oh, sorry. Before that, you got to put in what you're working with. Player stats. Then FGP equals, and well, we want it to equal the field goals made under field goals attempted. So field goals over field goals attempted. Then we could put a comma. And what else do we want? We want 3-point percentage. And that's going to be, we'll see how they have it here. That's going to be 3 pointers divided by 3 pointers attempted. So 3p divided by 3pa. And then the last one is going to be 2 pointers, which is going to be, we'll call it p percentage. It's going to equal our 2 pointers divided by our 2 pointers attempted. All right, and now let's run the code. Okay, and let's go ahead and view it. Oops, there we go. Now if we scroll to the end here, you'll see we have these columns laid out for us. They should be the same as before. There's no reason why they wouldn't be. And yeah, and we can move these over another time. But basically, we just want you to be able to get a sense of what the mutate function can do, because that's really where most of the stuff that you're doing personally comes in with sports analytics. Like when you're creating, and what mutate does, it allows you to create. So that's all for this lecture. In the next video, you're just going to be carrying over from everything you have here. So if it's already available, you can go ahead and view it right now. If not, it should be out shortly.